Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope you're having a fabulous day. Today I'm going to be creating a coffee card. We're going to be using a stamp set from Photoplay Say It With Stamps collection. This is called Coffee and Friends. The Say It With Stamp Coffee and Friends stamp set does have a coordinating die set. If you like the dies, that option is available. We're going to go ahead and jump in and create a coffee card. We're going to start by doing some stamping, and I thought I haven't stamped and heat embossed on pattern paper in a while, and I love to do that, and I think this coffee mug is going to be perfect for that. We're going to bring in some of the Say It With Stamps pastel 6x6 pattern papers. I love stripes and I love polka dots, and this set has all of it together. So we're going to jump in and grab some pattern papers. I chose 3 of them, an orange, a teal, and a green. These have like tone-on-tone polka dots to them, and I think they go really well with brown, since coffee is mostly brown. I think picking some colors that will coordinate with that was going to be wonderful. We are going to take our coffee cup, and I'm just going to use an acrylic block, and I'm going to treat each one of my pattern papers. I went ahead and treated my paper with my anti-static powder tool. Now we are going to do some heat embossing. So I'm going to be using my watermark ink. We'll ink up our Sky View coffee mug, and we're just going to stamp one coffee on each one of these pattern papers. I'm going to bring in some white embossing powder, and we're going to go over each one of our pattern papers. And then I'll use my heat gun, and we will melt each one of these. After we have all of our pattern papers heat embossed, we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of highlight using some alcohol markers. These are the alcohol markers that I'm going to be using. And I figured 2 tones would work perfectly for that, and then I have a blender that would work great. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit more, and then we are going to add a little bit of highlighting. I'm just finishing up with the highlighting, and again I just used 2 different colors, and then I'm blending it out with a blender pen. The nice thing about a blender pen too is it will take away the ink from your heat embossed area. Now that we have our coffee mugs colored in, we're going to go ahead and zoom back out. And I'm going to take the coordinating die, and we're going to die cut out all of our coffee cups. Now that we have our coffee cups die cut out, of course we don't want blue, green, and teal colored coffee. So to fix this, we're going to do something that's pretty easy. So I'm going to set these aside, and we are going to bring in some pattern paper from the Say It With Stamps neutral 6x6 paper pad. There's some pretty blacks, grays, and browns in here, and I wanted one that kind of looks like coffee. And I think this one is going to work. I think that looks like coffee, at least my coffee. You could go darker if you wanted to. I think this would make a coffee with no creamer, but I'm a coffee with cream kind of girl. So what we're going to do is go over our paper with our anti-static powder tool. And then we're going to go ahead and take, there's lots of frothy elements in our stamp set. I'm going to just use the one that doesn't have any, just the froth basically. And then we're going to take our watermark ink and ink this up 3 times and stamp it on the bottom of our pattern paper. And then I'm going to go over this with white embossing powder. And we'll go ahead and melt our frothy elements. Once we have our frothy elements all melted, I'm going to give it a second to dry. I used my anti-static powder, so I'm going to go ahead and wipe off my pattern paper here. Now, to transfer these to this, there's several different ways you can do it. I'm going to be using a circle punch. This is a 1-inch circle punch. And if you have a circle die, you could use that. But I actually use this for my swatching. So it works out perfect. I'm just going to punch out each one of these little frothy elements. And then that 1-inch circle punch will fit perfectly inside each one of these mugs. So to do that, we're just going to use our tape runner. And we're going to directly adhere our coffee on the inside of our mugs. So now we have some fun coffee cups. Now we're going to go ahead and put these aside and work on our background. I'm going to be using my nested pennant dies for today's project. I'm going to take the second to the largest one, and I'm going to die cut out a pennant banner that has stitch detail with white cardstock. Once we have our pennant banner die cut out, I'm going to take my A2 piercing cover plate die, and I'm going to run this pennant banner through my die cut machine like so, just so we have a little bit of detail in our background. After we have our pennant banner done, I'm going to take some pattern paper from our neutral 6x6 paper pad, and we're going to use a background panel. So after I have my paper trimmed down, we're going to adhere this to our card base. So let's flip this around and use our tape runner and directly adhere this to the front of our card. My card today is going to be a standard A2 size card. So let's just line this up. So we have a diagonal stripe background. I'm going to go ahead and take my pierced pennant banner, and we're going to add some brown. I went through my twine and found some brown twine that kind of close match to our coffee here. And I'm going to wrap it around a couple times over the top of my pennant banner, and we're going to tie a bow with this over to the left side. And then we're going to go ahead and add our coffee cups to our pennant banner. We're going to flip them around, and I'm going to add some foam adhesive behind here. We'll just remove the release paper, and then we can go ahead and figure out our placement. We are going to have a little bit of overlapping, and I think that's going to be just fine. I always like to overlap on the twine because it helps secure it. That way it doesn't go anywhere. I'm going to remove the release paper, and we'll tack this down in the center of our card base. I think I'm going to scoot this one over just a little bit more. Okay, now we need a sentiment. In the stamp set, there is a sentiment that says Coffee and Friends make the perfect blend. We're going to stamp this on some white cardstock. And for my sentiment, I'm going to bring in some brown ink. We'll ink this up and stamp this. And I'm going to die cut out my sentiment with one of the dies from the Build a Window slimline die set. I like the one that kind of looks like a cover plate. We're just going to go ahead and tape this down, making sure it's centered. And I'll run this through my die cut machine. Our sentiment is die cut out. And I'm going to flip this around. We're going to add some foam adhesive behind here. I'm going to go ahead and add my sentiment down here on the bottom. And I think that's going to work out good. Okay, last but not least, I want to add a little bit of gloss, so I'm going to bring in my glossy accents. Then I'm going to add a few little gems to my project also, because I think it needs well, I always say it needs sparkle, and since I have my glossy accents out, I'm just going to adhere a little bit of sparkle with my glossy accents. And then that will finish off my project today using the Say It With Stamps Coffee and Friends stamp set. I think it makes a fun friendship card. Inviting anybody to a cup of coffee is always a good thing. Thanks so much for joining me. I wish you a fabulous rest of your week, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.